everybody. Welcome back to your 2024 Mid-Atlantic Major. I'm here, fortunately, again, joined by Julian. Julian, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, guys. Julian Malashevsky here with the New Jersey Jesters. Looking forward to commentate another great set of games.
And speaking of that, we're going to watch Femmes Fatale take on Northern Lights and the Suricatos taking on the San Francisco Sirens. We've got an extremely foggy background here if you look at over Atlantic City, so the Sirens should feel at home coming out of San Francisco. We've done that for you. You owe us a win. You were playing yesterday, you mentioned to me, with the Jesters D3, I believe?
Yep. Yeah. So for Jesters D3, we went 2-0 in the afternoon bracket.
Humble brag.
Two tough games for sure.
All right, here we go. We got Femmes on the left. We got Northern Lights on the right. Femmes are going into the stake right off the bat. I think she might have gotten clipped. Nope.
Femmes have dropped 2 off the break. Northern Lights have dropped 1, so it is a 4-on-3 right now. Northern Lights have launched from snake insert into snake 1, and then they're at the small insert temple behind the snake, and then the inset can as well as the snake corner.
Femmes at the 50, she wraps and catches that Northern Lights player trying to crawl into the same position. That's either spider sense or just incredibly lucky.
It's now a 4-on-3.
Oh, blows up the home.
As well as the snake corner. So it's now a 3-on-1, I believe. And for Northern Lights, they're on the D side tall temple.
And she is in trouble. I think she just got hit in the arm.
Yep. First point going to Femmes.
Yeah, Femmes making it look easy right off the bat. They did lose their last match, but they're starting out strong on this one.
And that was a tough one, too. They only lost that one by 1.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a good game. This first point here by both teams. Obviously, the snake is definitely aggressive. We're also really looking forward to seeing some of these teams push down the D side a little bit more. That is something that's opening up a lot more as the game progresses. But obviously, we've definitely seen some good snake battles here these first few games.
So coming into this event and having a chance to play this layout and looking at it on paper, I really thought the snake was going to be crucial to shutting down the D side, because if you back off the snake about 5-6 feet, you can look crosswise and really slow down the movement of the Dorito. However, generally that's not how I see teams playing the Snake 50. They're mostly sticking to the inside of it, wrapping, looking for kills, which is great, but they're not using it as a hold position.
Yes, so I think that really one of the better spots to hold if you are in the snake is in the S1. You can look inside on the Doritos. You have the Dorito gap, as well as if they're trying to cross into your side of the field too, you've got the center large brick as well.
All right, Suricatos on our left, Sirens on our right. Suricatos going to take that snake corner, which is harder than it sounds. They do it alive, also up the middle.
Sirens have lost 1 from their snake player. Their inset can is getting checked right now. She took a bounce in the beginning.
Suricatos dropped their first player, so we're 4-4. They are into that head of the outside snake. We might be seeing a sneaky crawl here in a second.
And then Sirens have now dropped another player from their tall temple.
And then here we go. Suricatos initiating her crawl down this snake.
She just has to be careful to not touch one of these bunkers, then that way she can get down unnoticed.
Yep. And keep the butt pack down. She's losing players behind her, though. She needs to get to the end of this and do some damage quick.
So it looks like Suricatos at least have 2 players left. They've got the player crawling down the snake, and then Sirens have just dropped another player off the snake side. So as soon as the Suricatos player gets down, she'll be able to wrap.
You got D50 and the corner Dorito corner hot.
Yep. Dorito corner just moved up to D1.
I don't know if she has it. The Suricato player is going to have vision. Yeah, she got her on the D1.
And then now it's going to be a 2-on-1. But the Sirens player has now turned the corner. She's got to shoot this girl in the back right here. She's going to
get to the buzzer. That's what's going to happen here.
Oh.
Ooh.
So basically what happened there at the end, the player for the Suricatos that was on the Siren side of the snake was working her way to the buzzer, as well as the Sirens player smashed down the Dorito side, had to contain the person at the center brick, and then
that Sirens player might have wanted to stay engaged in that gunfight an extra second instead of turning and going for the buzzer, because I think that's what got her blown up in the last 2 steps before the get into that start box. Well, that was an interesting end to that point.
Yep.
That was literally a who's going to make the last 3 steps and hit that buzzer first. And I'm fairly certain neither the Sirens or the Suricatos player here at the end knew how close either one was to the actual buzzer.
Agreed.
Good drama. Thank you to both teams. Help keep my ratings strong. That's all we care about. All right, Northern Lights, Femmes Fatale going to roll back out. Femmes are going to be on your right, Northern Lights on your left. We've talked about this already. Femmes Fatale, they've had a lot of games where you've had individual players just go off, just go full superhero mode and blow up the entire field by themselves. I don't know if that's a reliable long-term strategy, but they've had some great games. Northern Lights 5 alive. I think both.
Yep, same for the Femmes. Femmes have taken the snake and going right up into the snake 50 right now. They're also at both tall temples in the center, the small temple on the snake side, and I believe the Dorito can as well.
Northern Lights players still not aware of this snake 50 being hot. First Northern Lights players peeling off.
And then the Femmes have dropped one from their Dorito side can.
So 4-4.
Yep, and then the tall temple is now launched into the center brick. Doritos for the Femmes are now in the Dorito 2, just behind the Dorito 50. Femmes are in good positions here. Northern Lights are a little bit more in the backfield, but it doesn't mean they're playing on their heels yet.
Northern Lights did do a secondary breakout to the snake corner, which turns out to be vital because these are the best antidote to slowing the snake down. As I say that, I commentator cursed right off the field.
And then the Femmes have lost their Dorito 2 player. They're still at the 50 snake, the center 40 brick, and then they're also in the outside snake wrapping around here. And for Northern Lights, they've got the tall temple on the snake side. She's getting a check right now. They're also in the Dorito side corner. Dorito corner just launched to Dorito 1. The snake player's got to be careful right here.
Carla Alvarez taking a walk. Doing a lot of damage, but oh, no, she's going to stay alive. She's going to get a check.
I think that's Tammy Adamson that just came through there. She just had a double bunker and then was working on the last player for Northern Lights in the Dorito before the towel went up.
Remember what I said about individual players from Femmes Fatales going off and having super games? That was Tammy Adamson a lot yesterday. Yep. So she just did it again. She's all the way down at their home base. I was so focused on the snake, I didn't even see Tammy go through the middle.
Yep, she was in the center brick, saw that read and react. She took out the player that was in the snake insert, then one just inside on the middle, and then, like I said, was working on that third player there before the towel.
Nice game by Femmes, cleaning it up. They did a great job getting up to the snake real early in the game, and they also did it quietly.
And then so we're going to have Sirens on the left and Suricatos here on the right.
There's about a 50-50 chance when this weekend's over, I'm going to find out that I've been mispronouncing even Suricatos. And I apologize if that's the case.
Spanish 101 was about as far as I went, so
yeah, I never got in
as well.
I took Latin for some reason. That was a total waste of a semester.
All right, Suricatos are, as of right now, 5 alive. They're in the snake insert, center brick, and center temple, center can, and then the tall temple as well. Snake insert has launched into snake 1. She's been playing both the inside snake and the outside. This time she's on the inside.
5 alive for the Sirens. They're starting to take their secondaries. They moved up to that inside Dorito and now into the S1.
Suricatos have dropped a player and just got a penalty, so they're now down 2. The small temple player is now filled out to the Dorito side, but she just dropped. It is now
5 alive over here on the Sirens, and they're doing a great job taking their secondaries and tertiaries.
Yeah. And
wow, that just fell apart real fast over here for the Suricatos. If I got to give a compliment, it's the Sirens. They just were doing such a good job taking their secondary bunkers one after another after another. They just kept coming, and they were doing it live.
And this was actually one of the points there where they were actually smashing down the D side and able to get so many kills. So I was talking about it. I'm glad I finally got to see it.
Yeah, you were mentioning before this match started that you thought you'd see more and more Dorito pushes as the weekend went along.
Yeah, because the thing is, once you kind of identify in the snake, and the thing is, you kind of get jammed up here in the 50. So that's where you're either going to have to jump to the outside snake and work your way down, try to get into your opponent's S2. But once you pretty much get identified, there's one or two spots where you can be tracked while you're there. But with the Dorito side, if you've got two people that really can play a good tandem ball, then you can team ball this all the way down.
Wise words. So it's kind of a shame that we get a week before to play the layouts, right? Learn them. We come to the event. I think we learn a ton about the layout by the course of the event, and then we go home and if you're lucky, you're playing a regional league that might use the layout. But if not, you're like, wow, I learned all that about that layout in one weekend, and now what do I do with that knowledge?
I mean, I think to that point in a second here.
Yeah, we'll hold off. Femmes get into the head of the snake on the outside. I think they're going to go for that quick
And
sneaky crawl.
Northern Lights has dropped one body off the D side here in the beginning. Northern Lights is on the inside snake. They're in the snake 2. If she looks down the highway, she's going to get this player right here.
Oh, she does.
Yep. So I believe now it's going to be 4-on-4. Femmes are at the snake insert, tall temple in the center. Snake insert just bumped into S1. Northern Lights just lost one of their back players as well. So now the Northern Lights snake player may be one of the only players left for them. I'm sorry, they also have the snake corner. The snake corner is just filled into the outside snake. This is going to be a tight spot for her.
That's Hannah Urquhart in the for Northern Lights in that S2. That was a great move, by the way, peeking a look down that inside snake lane. Oh, no, and she got popped. See, give her a compliment.
And I think the last Northern Lights player,
Popper.
she just got eliminated, but she's got some loader issues.
Yeah.
Looks like
I might have just seen a flag go up. Not that I think it's going to change the course of the game, but I saw something go in the air up on the other side of the field.
and there's one player left for the Northern Lights, and she has also dropped. But back to your point, when talking about, playing a lot of the field, spending a lot of time on them and changing, on the flip side, there's only so many combinations that can be made for these fields.
Sure.
So there is something that's going to be resembling in some facets. So for me, when I first kind of saw the snake, if there was a bigger gap in between the knuckles to where you could almost see down the highway, then that snake would have been very similar to an old school Chicago grinder field, where it's really, you've got to work in pairs or have 3 people in there and just constantly keep feeding that. So that's what this first kind of looked at. However, when you have a larger gap in between these Doritos, that's kind of like the old school X-Ball layouts, to where you really had to live behind your gun, have a teammate there with you, watch lane. So I think that, me personally, I think there's too many bunkers. I would like to see a few less, maybe 1 or 2 bigger ones, and not just be able to have a race to the 50 to actually earn your spot to get in. So that's just my personal opinion. But
So what you're mentioning, something you just said caught my eye, and it's totally true. Because we're working from the same set of possible bunkers, there tends to be some uniformity to the field layouts time after time after time. The flip side of that is it's been good for your regional fields out there, because they can buy the exact same bunker set and be ready to lay it out the week before each event. So there's a trade-off there by always using the same set of bunkers. All right, Suricatos on our left. Up the middle, they do get into that snake corner. A little bit of a delayed move by Sirens up the middle to that brick, but it works.
And I think both teams are still 5 alive right now. Oh, Suricatos just lost 1 player out of the tall temple in the center. And then the Sirens are at the snake insert bunker. They're at the center brick. Both center bricks for Suricatos and the Sirens are both looking snake side. Sirens are also at the D50, wrapping around the D50 right now. They're also in the D corner. And then
that Sirens player in the D50 is primed to do a lot of damage, because the Suricatos didn't react to it very quickly.
And then the D corner for the Sirens is now moved into D1, so they're in good positions here on the D side, potentially looking for the snake insert player for the Sirens to launch in as well. But Suricatos' snake player is now on the outside snake, and she's working her way up right now. She's just got to be careful to not touch these outside bunkers. She's now about to cross the 50.
Keep the butt pack down. Resist the temptation.
Sirens
to pop
making a
early.
move through the middle. She just took out
Clean.
her mirror, just got clipped. So it's a nice trade there. But at the same time, Suricatos have also dropped another player.
So it's all up to this player for Suricatos.
Suricatos and Sirens just crawled past each other. Sirens are going into the 50. Suricatos, she's working her way to the end of the snake there. And I think everyone from the Suricatos is dead, minus this snake player.
Just her.
Getting ready to be something. One. Oh, there's one. Let's see if she's going to get the other ones. She just got
She
two.
blew her up. There's a chance here.
She got two. She's going to get the third one, or is the Sirens player going to hit the buzzer?
Hit the buzzer. Oh,
Boom.
go like 20
Dang.
feet short.
So
That's
I believe that was the second player on the Siren side. That was the D corner that had moved up. So she was able to sweep through there on the D side and catch that buzzer right there before the Suricatos player.
That is a heartbreaker for Angela Martorres. She was just 10 feet from the bunker after doing all that work, crawling the length of the field, blowing up a bunch of players. Ugh.
And she's been doing work these past two games that I've commentated. She's definitely the one person for this team that's been getting the snake and doing work. So it's awesome to see it.
That is rough. All right, well, it's still a very good game to watch. I love commentating that one, but I feel so bad for players that do everything right and then it still doesn't work out. It's just like, it's crushing.
That's why no matter how much of an individual effort you can have, it still takes a team. So, so we got the Femmes on the right, and then we've got Northern Lights on the left.
All right, Femmes up 3-0. I mean, that's a pretty good lead. It's not insurmountable, especially with almost 11 minutes on the clock, but Northern Lights got to get moving. Northern Lights, a fairly conservative breakout. They are 5 alive. Make their secondary into the snake corner. Unfortunately, refs coming in. Never good.
And Femmes are into S2, the two tall temples in the center, inset Dorito can, small temple on the snake side. Small temple players getting checked for the Femmes. She's clean.
Northern Lights quickly pushing into the snake. They've doubled up on it. And they're moving another. They are fully committing to this snake side. They've got 3 bodies committed to it. They're still doubled up at that home can in the back. There you go. Just going to move up to the Dorito side tower. They're going to lose their Snake 2 player.
Yep, that was the Snake 50 for the Femmes. She just eliminated the S2. Again, Northern Lights. Oh, they're going to try to wrap around on the 50 here. She took a bounce. So she's in the out. Oh, and then Femmes just lost their player there. I think that the Femmes Snake player just got a little bit big there and then got caught from the snake corner by Northern Lights.
I think she kind of thought she might be able to launch maybe and came right into a gun.
Potentially, yep. And then Femmes Tall Can has just launched into the center brick at the same time. They just dropped another player. So for the Femmes, Femmes definitely have 2 players. They are in the Dorito 50 and then in the center brick. Center brick is looking snake side. For Northern Lights, they've got 1 player that just got eliminated from the outside snake. And then, let's see, Femmes definitely have 3 players, I apologize. So they've got the snake corner, center brick, Dorito 50, and then Northern Lights just lost their snake corner player.
I think we just have 1 player left alive. Nope, that's a lay down ref, excuse me.
Oh,
we have the tower. The tower's eliminated.
I think that was Tammy that just traded out there with that temple.
So Northern Lights heavily invested in the snake side in this game. They threw a lot of resources at it. Initially, I thought they had success, especially when they were able to take out. They did lose their snake player, but they took out the only snake player for Femmes. I thought that they could push it.
Yeah, so the downfall for Northern Lights outside snake player there was that Tammy in the center brick identified her there on the outside and was able to get that drop shot. So once you pretty much get identified and you're at that tail end of the snake, you either need to make a move to the inside or you got to crawl down because it's just too small to live, especially when they know that you're there. There's too many crawl shots and head-up shots too.
Now, if they know that you're in that outside of the snake and then they don't hear from you or see from you, they should assume at that point you are crawling down the outside. So I think in my humble opinion, if you take that that outside angled snake brick on your end, I don't think you shoot from it. I think you commit to making that crawl. Or if you are going to shoot from it, don't try to make that crawl later. Just bounce the inside snake, do something else. Because to crawl down the length of the snake, it totally requires secrecy, an element of surprise.
Yep.
If I see an opposing player in the head of the snake, that angled, I'm going to assume they're going to do that inside crawl.
And I agree. There's sometimes where you can kind of bait it a little bit as well.
Mm-hmm. All right, Sirens up 2-1. They're on our left. Suricatos on our right.
Looks like Suricatos are going to go for more of a heavy middle presence. Their snake player isn't out there. That has been, but Suricatos player is getting checked.
Sirens didn't take any risk getting into the snake. They pulled up a little bit short, so it's not working in the favor of Suricatos and the guns they've dedicated to it.
So both teams are 5-on-5. Suricatos players getting a check. She got eliminated, and they're throwing a minor. Now, let's just make sure it's just only one person they're pulling. All right, but at the same time, all right, so there's two.
Sirens player peeling off that S1. At the same time, moving up to that Dorito side tower. Got 3 alive. I know it's a tough move. There she goes. She's going to move out to that snake corner.
Sirens just lost their 50D player. I believe it's a 3-on-3 right now. Sirens have launched into the center brick as well. She just got eliminated.
Oof. So
Sirens have their snake corner. Suricatos have the center brick.
I believe it's the
Dorito
last Sirens player in the snake corner. No, I'm sorry. They still have the tower. Tower's trying to launch.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, the snake side tall temple blocks out that Dorito temple from us here.
Ooh. Good reflexes. Suricatos player had a ball coming straight for her head. She ducked at the last possible second. That's number 33.
Oh, and then Sirens are actually in the 50 Dorito right now. She's probing around. She just shot the snake.
Wow, blows up the snake. She's going to cruise down that Dorito side, finish it out.
And I think that this is the Sirens player that just hit the buzzer for him last point, too. She's their second Dorito player over here. I think that's her second move.
At one point in that game, I thought it was over for the Sirens. What a great turnaround for them down that Dorito side. You got the Dorito side action you wanted to see.
Yep. I mean, and like I said, once you pretty much identify where they are in the snake, if they're in that the snake 50, you have a couple options, but unless you fully commit to it, you do kind of get trapped. And then that's where the Doritos do have that opportunity to smash down, especially if there's not someone watching over it.
I believe that might have been Tessa Osterhage, number 27 for Northern Lights. I saw a 7 on the jersey, but at this distance...
You mean the Sirens?
I'm sorry, yeah. Oh, no, I'm sorry, you're right. At this distance with my bad eyes, so that might have been Kelly Lutke.
So we have Northern Lights here on our right, Femmes on the left. Femmes are up right now 4-0. Femmes definitely look like they came to play. They definitely seem more aggressive than the one game I saw yesterday. Not saying in a bad way, but it's awesome to see the aggression out of them.
Mm-hmm. Well, Northern Lights got their backs against the wall. They're down 4-0. There's still plenty of time on the clock, but they lose one more point. It's mercy time. Femmes make it to that snake corner. They make all 5 alive right off the break.
And then Northern Lights went snake insert into S1, small temple. They're also at the inset Dorito, snake side tall temple, and they went inside can now to the Dorito corner.
Femmes have 2 secondary moves. They're up into that D1, up into that middle brick. D1 is alive.
And then for Northern Lights, the S1 player is now crawling into S2. I believe we're still 5 alive for both teams here. And then the snake player, small temple just went to the snake corner for Northern Lights. At the same time, they also launched from the snake side tall temple into the center brick.
Femmes snake corner slides up from that corner into S1. Now she's going to drop and crawl, see if she can get to that snake 50.
So she stopped at S2 for the Femmes. So they're mirrored up, both Femmes and Northern Lights. Looks like they're going to have a little heads-up gun battle here.
Femmes are up 4-0 in this match, but watching their behavior, I wouldn't think it because they are trying to push the matter.
And Northern Lights just eliminated her mirror at the S2. And at the same time, the Northern Lights snake corner has launched into the outside part of the snake. She's playing it as a snake corner right now.
Femmes taking a walk from that inside Dorito.
So I think it's a 5-on-3 now, favoring Northern Lights.
Femmes in the S1. They're in that middle brick.
And like you said, there's still plenty of time, so it's not like they really have to get down too fast, but you don't want to have too much time tick off the clock. At the same time I say that, Northern Lights just lost their S2 player.
That's a big kill. I believe the Femme just has to recognize this outside snake play for the Northern Lights. Get a gun on her. Now they're mirrored up. We have a Femmes Fatale player playing that little brick in the middle of the field. Don't see that too often this weekend. There she is, tucked in there tight. I'm not sure any of the Northern Lights picked up on it. Oh, that Northern Lights player in the snake is about to get blown up by that middle brick. If she moves any far, there it is. All right, so for Northern Lights, we got the both inside Dorito and the D2 hot.
And then so the Femme player that went into the outside snake, she actually backed up into the snake corner, and that's how she got that shot on that S1. Tammy coming through with another run through again. Took one, traded out with the other.
And she points the finger at her opponent saying, thank you for playing.
Oh.
Wow, great reaction on the Femme player who immediately dropped backwards and then got the shot off and blew up that Dorito. She had paint coming right there trying to take her neck off and just instantly dropped to the turf.
Then I believe the Femmes are going to mercy this with 5-0.
Yep. Good work. That was Mercedes Dozal of the Femmes, number 777. They're not even going to let her hit the buzzer. Oh, they are going to let her hit the buzzer. There you go. Good work, Dozal. All right, Femmes going to 5-0 that. That's a little rough for Northern Lights. That is definitely going to wrap up their weekend. No chance of the playoffs for Northern Lights at this point. Talking with some of the Northern Lights players yesterday, they feel like there is a difference in play between the Canadian scene and the American scene. I'm not saying better or worse, but that when they played this field in Canada and then came here, it really wasn't so much the field was different. They just felt the play style was very different and caught them off guard. I don't have any more specifics than that, but she just said it was very strange. They didn't have answers for it initially.
Gotcha. Yeah. So, I mean, it is kind of hard because I think that, regionally there's probably going to be teams that have a very similar playing style.
Yeah.
So that's where it is nice to go and travel to different locations, play different teams. Because also you play the same teams, they're going to know your tendencies, but then also everyone plays a little bit different wherever you go. So when you build a good relationship with a couple teams, you get some good practices in, whether it's on a layout or just a good, go at it. So.
I think it was a metric to standard conversion. That's always an issue between Canada and us. All right, Suricatos on the left. They're down 3-1. They cannot keep losing points here. 5 alive, though.
So Sirens are in the snake insert, the 2 temples in the center. The Dorito side temple just launched to the inside Dorito, and then the inside can launched to the Dorito tall temple. So we're still 5-on-5 right now.
Correct. Suricatos in the corner. They're in both the kind of those home bunkers, the mini temple and the can. They're also up the middle in the center tower.
And there are 2 dedicated guns onto the D side to try to keep the Suricato snake player at bay. But she's determined. She's into the outside snake right now.
Now she potentially has help. They still have the mini. The Suricatos have the mini wall, and there you go. She bumps into the S1. And a move up the middle by the Suricatos to this brick.
And then Suricatos just dropped a player off the back line. Looks like their D2 player.
I believe it was the D50 for the Sirens that was able to wrap and blow up that can.
Oh, and she just got clipped in the pack, so it's now 4-on-4.
However, another player walking off for Suricatos, so 4-on-3. Suricatos really bunched up over here on the snake side. Not a horrible place to be, but...
Then Sirens have moved from that inset Dorito. They're in the brick right before the right 50. At the same time, Suricatos are working down the outside snake right now.
This Suricatos player in the middle brick is critical. If she loses a gunfight, it is all falling apart. She needs to hold it at bay long enough to allow her snake player to go do some damage.
And Suricatos player is getting... Oh, she
they
just got
found her.
clipped.
That's just going to leave 2 Suricato players left. She's going to try to bounce to the outside. Not sure I love that move. She's about to find out that that's a tough bunker to play. And the Suricatos brick player got blown out, so that is it.
Sirens are getting ready to go up 4-1. I think the one thing for these 2 teams playing It's one thing if you lose a player here and there, but it seems as though when they are losing players, they're losing them in pairs. So you're losing 2 players instead of 1, sometimes 3. So when you drop 2 players, that really opens a zone. So you just got to try not, die in droves.
Generally, when I see players die in droves, I always think it's probably because the other team made a move and they didn't pick up on it. And I think in that case, you're right. I think the D50 got hot. Suricatos didn't see it, and she just wrapped and started blowing up bodies.
And that's where, it's, especially if you have someone in the snake corner or in the snake 1, they can look into that and at least keep that player contained. And then that's where you just have that cross-field communication, because you have to know what's going on the other side of the field. Because if you're, like for me, if I'm the person in the snake corner, I need to tell my player what's going on the other side of the field. Of course, we know that it's probably going to be the snake corner. The way that this snake is, you pretty much are making this off the break. So you just got to assume that the snake is hot until you can truly identify where they are. So you know where the main 2 or 3 people are over here. It's figuring out where they are on the other side of the field, because that's who can shoot you, and then also how you can help, your D side by putting pressure on that side too.
When I found a layout like this, with like the snake is relatively easy to take, and it's certainly easy once you're in there to get to the 50. I've had my team start calling snake is hot as soon as the buzzer goes.
Mm-hmm.
And it just to mentally, when I've had a problem with the teams that we're like, how do we keep forgetting that snake's always hot and it's always killing us? I'm like, you know what? The second the buzzer goes off and we start to run out, I want to hear all 5 of you yelling snake is hot. Just start doing it, because it's going to be. And we just can't lose track of it anymore.
Mm-hmm. And that's where, especially with, really good snake players, this is a snake where you can definitely be sneaky. You can also get up and be a wrecking ball too. So it's definitely a fun one to be playing in for sure.
All right, so we got a timeout, probably by the Suricatos. No, Suricatos are in the box, so I think it was Sirens that took a timeout. They're not out there. A little bit of delay. Now, that said, we are in X-ball, if I'm not mistaken, so there's not as much time in between points at this point. Ooh.
I mean, and I believe it's 2 minutes. And 2 minutes, you would think is enough. But, when you get done playing, by the time you walk and you're getting aired up and cleaned up, it's like, all right, you're back out. And you're like, okay, that 2 minutes is really fast.
Real fast. Coach trying to give you instructions, trying to clean off old hits, trying to retop off your hopper. Yeah, it is not a lot of time. I could make an argument for maybe players no longer having personal guns and saying, look, we've got a set of 10 team guns. You come off the field, you drop a gun and pick up a fresh one.
I don't know. I'm a wizard that likes his wand. So
I
it's
know.
I even had my gun jammed up. I had to use a team member's gun. Even though it wasn't mine, I was still able to do the job, but it definitely, you can tell when it's not yours.
Yeah.
So that's where it always helps to have 2. So Suricatos on the right, Sirens on the left.
Suricatos need something to happen positive for them. Down 4-1.
And they're going to go Suricatos with that heavy middle presence again. 2 in the center brick, 1 looking Dorito side, 1 looking snake. Snake insert went to S1. And then inset small temple just launched to the snake corner. Still 5 alive for both teams.
Sirens a little more conservative breakout. They're not attempting any secondaries. It looks like they're happy to just force the Suricatos to come at them. Suricatos lose their first player up the middle at that brick. So 5-on-4 advantage Sirens.
And it looks about 6.5 minutes left in the game. So definitely don't want to slow it down, but you don't want to, keep running. And at the same point in time, Sirens have now just dropped 1 player. So it's 5-on-4. They lost that player out of the D-side can.
They've made the Dorito 1 for the Sirens.
So it's now actually 4-on-4. Looks like Suricatos have dropped a player. I believe that came from the D side. At the same time, Suricatos just dropped another player. Sirens are wrapping around the 50D right now. She's doing work.
Huge move.
She at least shot 3 players. She's working on a few extra.
She's looking for anything to shoot at, and there's nothing left.
Yep, I like it.
Great move. You're getting that Dorito push that you expected to see.
And like I said, it's there when you have a good aggressive D player. They can definitely take the game into their hands and make something happen for sure.
So that D1 to D2 bump, I think we talked about this. I use the word free because it's the only thing that can stop you is really the snake corner just kind of dumping paint blind through a running lane.
Yep.
Realistically not going to happen. So D1 to D2 is kind of a free bump. D2 up, that's where it gets a little bit harder, especially if the snake is looking your way. But there's so many bunkers in the middle of this field, which you weren't a huge fan of. It's easy to get lost, and you can make those bumps and just.
And that's where, too, if you're communicating with your team, and they're telling you that they're starting to smash down the Doritos, they have a player in the snake corner. That snake corner can at least contain that player over there. Doesn't mean you're going to get that elimination, but at least you can hold them off. But I'm not sure if maybe the cross-field communication was as what it needed to be, but this is perk of coming to these events, getting practice in. Your mistakes are going to be glaring. So especially when you have this much of a reffing crew, everything's different. So.
Well, Suricatos didn't feel like leaving a timeout on the table, so they're going to take one also. I don't blame him. Suricatos down 5-1. The clock is at 5.5 minutes. You have to win a point per minute at this juncture if you want to come back in this match. Difficult. I'm not saying impossible, but it's darn difficult. So the scores that we've been seeing in the WNXL this weekend tells me that 5 points, 1 point per minute is very unlikely. We haven't seen that. This is maybe a little bit slower field than I think I expected. I don't know what you expected coming in.
So we've seen some quick points, we've seen some slow points, and myself, we've played some quick points and we've played some slow points. You can lose people in droves, whether you're trying to or not. When that happens, it definitely makes the games go by quicker. At the same point in time, to try to get a 1 minute point on this field, I think that would be really difficult. I think that what you need to do is, have some bait. You would need to throw someone to this outside wide snake, have them draw a gun, and then have a big heavy presence up the middle and down the D side. But again, I think it's just there's too many big gaps that too many players have to cross through, that if you really had to hunker in, I think that you can hunker in for a minute and shut down the field.
The orbital strike option is trying to get out here to this outside snake, the passing lane, crawl the whole length of it, pop up on their back end, and you can get we've seen 5-kill games from people that do that. The problem with that as a fast approach is crawling the length of the snake itself is not fast.
Yep.
So I don't see a great and certainly 5 times in a row. No way Suricatos are going to get away with doing that 5 times in a row, even if it was fast. So,
and she's been doing work when she gets to the outside snake, but this definitely takes a workout to do. And
so if I'm the Sirens, I'm going to put somebody in a position to look down this outside snake, because that's a quick way for an easy 5-pack.
So it looks like they're going to go snake insert.
5 alive for Suricatos.
And same for the Sirens dropped one player off the D side. So they're kind of in a pocket play right now with the inset can, inset small temple, snake insert, and then the tall temple on the snake side.
Big bump for the Suricatos from that command tower all the way out to that D2. Running sideways, probably through some lanes. They're also into the S1 now, although she's looking cross rather than moving up snake.
You definitely got to be on your horses now.
Yeah, there's got to be a sense of urgency here for Suricatos. Suricatos in D2, D corner, middle tower, the brick, and S1.
And Sirens have launched from the inset can to the Dorito side tall temple. At the same time, the small temple for the Sirens has dropped. So it's now 3 players left for the Sirens and 5 for the Suricatos.
Suricatos, again, trying to win 5 points in 5 minutes is probably impossible, but I'm still not seeing enough urgency out of them.
And so Sirens have now dropped their player from the tall temple on the snake side, leaving 2 players. Snake insert for the Sirens launched to snake 1. She's taking heat from her mirror as well as the center brick, and she's now eliminated. 1 player left now for the Sirens.
Suricatos 5 alive.
Eliminated. And they're going to run in, hit the buzzer. Hopefully don't get a team kill. Trying to.
All right, well, convincing win by Suricatos, and you know what? They did it in just a little bit over a minute, so they obviously heard me on the webcast and said, shut up. You're obviously wrong.
And so this is where the flip side, too, not to cut you off.
No.
If they get 2 more points, and then they're technically that 3rd point that they would play is under a minute, if something goes sideways for the Sirens.
A major?
Yep, then we're going to go there, and then that could be an overtime. So I think it was a good, smart play. I think at the same time, the Sirens also still need to be aggressive in some of their plays. I don't think you can really have a pocket play on this field. you at least have to get wide somewhere.
Yep.
And they were definitely stuck in the middle there on that one.
And Suricatos did not, at least for that point, use up that kind of secret. Well, it's not that secret, but crawl down that outside, what I'm calling the passing lane. So that's still on the table for them if they want to try that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you get it back 3 to 5, yeah, under 60 seconds, it gets Wild West out there because one oopsie and you get a major and the point flips.
Yep. Yeah, we were actually able to hold off in our second match yesterday. It was about 20 seconds left, and we were in the snake corner against about 2 guys, I believe, maybe 3, and then our main captain.
Say it was 5 guys. It makes you look more heroic.
Oh no, it wasn't me. It wasn't me. It was our captain, Timmy Trinacost. He was able to hold it out for the win. So big ups to him for that one.
Against 7 players, is that what I heard?
I think it was.
Yeah,
probably.
easily. There were players pouring in from the pro field, just jumping behind bunkers. Timmy, you're a god. There's no fact checking on this, by the way. There is no Snopes digging into webcasting. Just say whatever you want.
30 seconds.
I've actually been losing a lot of weight. I'm now 185 pounds. Rip.
Hair's growing back too.
Yep.
I think. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, amazing.
3 seconds.
So we're going to have Suricatos here on the right, Sirens on the left. And it's going to be 5-2 with 3:56 left in the game.
Suricatos a little bit late getting to the box, but that's what happens when you're next ball.
They're bringing out their snake player. I think she's going to go corner this time.
I think you're right. Sirens 5 alive.
Suricatos dropped their snake corner player, so now they are open on the snake side.
Sirens lose their Dorito side tower.
So it's 4-on-4.
Sirens bump up that middle brick.
Suricatos just dropped 1 player. They're getting ready to lose the second one. Nope.
Nope.
Okay.
Suricatos player rolls for persuasion. Convinces the ref it's rub.
It's like pull me or not. So Suricatos have 3 players. They've got the center brick, inside Dorito, and Dorito 1. And Sirens still have 4 players.
Yep.
They are at the center brick, the small temple, probably either the snake insert, I believe.
Dorito side tower, the small temple behind the snake. Oh, they lost their brick player up the middle.
3-on-3 here. So no one is really wide. However, if the snake insert player from the Sirens can get wide, she's going to, yep, what she just did. So she's now in S1. She's drawing the guns now from the center brick. At the same time, Suricatos went from D1 to D2. D-side temple for the Sirens. She just went to Dorito 1. She's now looking inside. So
I know they call radon the silent killer, but the clock right now is the silent killer. Suricatos letting too much time elapse off the clock.
Exactly. So this is where the S1 player can now look inside. She can maybe, she can get those kills, but at the same point in time, by being up points, she can also keep them from advancing. So if I were her, I would be staying inside right now, communicating with the Dorito player, because the Dorito player can watch that zone in front of them. Sirens are making a move up into S2.
That Siren player not interested in working the clock. She wants to win this thing.
Hey, I'm all for it. If you've got the confidence to do it and you believe in your teammates, then do it. She just got clipped. So
that was number 5, Scout Cobine.
Oh, at the same point in time, the Suricatos center brick player also just took an elimination. It's now 2-on-2.
That inside Dorito player for Suricatos also, I think, having a hopper problem.
Oh, and then Suricatos just lost their outside Dorito player. Sirens are up in the D50. This is the same player that's been doing work for them past 3 games. And Sirens are now in S2 trying to work the big can. I'm sorry. Oh, and Sirens have just eliminated Suricatos player. It was the D50 player that got that shot.
Suricatos coach going to towel out on that, so it's going to go to 6-2. Again, on the verge of mercy. We're going to have 1:22 left on the clock. Certainly, the match is out of reach for Suricatos as far as the score differential at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But play it out. I mean, you came all the way here.
Yeah.
And you came a long way here from Columbia.
And they've been playing well. I think that one of their hopefully they're going to be able to add a few more players to that Suricatos roster. I don't think that they had enough legs on the snake. However, they're doing work, but that's where you definitely need those 1 or 2 extra snake players. That way it's not all on one person, because if
exhaustion.
If you only have 1 or 2 players, it definitely is going to take a toll on your legs. Like you definitely need that third option there just in case too.
Yeah, and I don't know what it's like recruiting down in the Columbia area. I don't know. Up in the states at least, I think the WNXL has spurred a lot more female players. I'm seeing more female players coming into AG Paintball up in New Hampshire, which is great. So, unfortunately, that makes it easier to recruit up here and train up here. I'm guessing. I don't know Columbia, but I'm guessing it's tougher to recruit down there.
I'm sure it is. I mean, and also this isn't the cheapest sport to play, so it's a different demographic. It's also pretty much like on the same scale of something like hockey.
Yeah.
You're investing in pads, equipment, sticks, helmets, all this jazz, and it's only good for a season, sometimes two.
Yeah,
and then it's not cheap.
I also suspect recruiting for hockey is difficult in Columbia. Good point. Any guesses? I like to play this game because I check this before events. What's your guess on how much a ticket costs from Columbia to the U.S.?
I mean, it's going to be probably at least like $1,500.
Surprisingly, it was about $800 when I looked at it.
Is that one way?
Yeah. No, I think that was two way. Oh God, now you're throwing doubt.
Hey, I just
No,
I
it
got to
was
play
two
the over under there.
Yeah, no, that was two ways. Yeah, $800. That was surprising.
That's not too bad.
Last year, Manawatu Titans flying from New Zealand. That was $1,500 a ticket.
So Sirens on the right, Suricatos on the left.
Game on.
Suricatos double up the middle. They go to the tower. And the
Sirens
brick.
players on her here, going.
And she didn't
She's-
run into that brick, so they don't know she's there.
So the Sirens player went that normally plays the center brick has launched onto the Suricatos side of the field. Let's see what side she's looking because she just did a run through here. Did that snake player? I believe the snake player for Suricatos picked her up.
3 bodies off the field for Suricatos. They do have the S50.
At the same time, Sirens are in the inset Dorito. Suricatos snake player just got eliminated.
And we're at 45 seconds.
Sirens are getting ready to go into the 50D. They're in the inset Dorito. I think that's the game.
Yeah, that's certainly the match. Last Suricato player looks like she's walking off.
Who's this number 32 player for the Sirens? Like, she's been smashing in the middle.
She's been doing great work going through the middle. I believe that is Audrey Vasquez.
Yep, definitely got to give a shout out to Audrey. She was doing awesome there in the middle and made that exciting there at the end.
Again and again, we saw her going through the middle, blowing people up.
Yep,
Good
not
work,
afraid
Audrey.
to take it, too. That's awesome.
All right, well, we saw 2 Mercy matches.
And exciting games, too. I
Yeah.
mean, the Femmes, they definitely they were in the driver's seat for that game. It was a good game to watch regardless. And then, with the Siren Suricatos game, this was definitely a back and forth one. The score doesn't reflect it per se, but there was a lot of back and forth action that truly made it an exciting game.
Yeah, even though, like you said, the score doesn't reflect it, but the Suricatos weren't getting blown out in those games. They were fighting them out. They may not have won all of them, obviously, but they were fighting them out, so it wasn't a blow-up by any measure.
Agreed.
All right, well, you have some games today for yourself?
Yep, yeah, so we play at 2:15, 3:55. Semi-pro line is going to be playing, I think, at like 2:55 and like the 4:30 time
See 'em
slot.
here.
Yep,
All right. Hey, thanks again. It was awesome to have you in the booth.
Yep.
Please, anytime.
absolutely.
All
Thank
right.
you as always.
Thank you so much. We're going to take a little bit of a break, and we'll come back for more paintball.
Have a great one, guys.